What's going on, New Canoe Nation? Woo! Welcome back. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Hope everybody's nice and plump and stuffed. Needs to get back out in their kayak to work off some of that turkey. I know I had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you guys did as well. We got Nicholas Beltran in the house. What's up, my man? Blaine Upton Kayak Fishing. What's up, dude? Long time no talk. Got a great guest tonight. We got Team New Canoe member Nick Chabarria. I think I got that right. You guys know I'm not great at last names, but as we're going along through the show, if you guys got any questions, comments, things like that, feel free to drop them in the chat. Drop in there where you're tuning in from, what kind of kayak you guys are floating out of, even if it's not a new canoe. We got Nick Venable in the house. What's up, man? We got the Wizard, a.k.a. Romel, in the house as well. Very good, very good. Well, let's get our guest of the hour in the house, Mr. Nick Chabarria.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Your screen went out again. I'm gonna boot you and then come back in. For some reason, we're having some trouble with Nick's screen. But Romel says he's at the Newport HQ. If you guys haven't seen the new Newport vessels, NK motors paired up with the EPS system by New Canoe, definitely something you guys got to check out. There we go. We got you.
Fingers crossed here, man.
It went out again. All
right, hold on. I'll try something else here. Hold on.
Okay. But definitely check out the Newports, man. A lot of buzz around those motors. I know we did an episode specifically about the Newports here with Romel. He actually rigged one up during a show. It took him about 45 minutes to do so. Super easy. Check those out if you guys haven't already. Something cool to check out. Blaine Upton, has the ice hit yet? Waiting on the shirtless gilly pics. It is starting to freeze up here in the north, so some of us aren't able to get out on the water as much. I know we got some duck hunting planned this weekend on some creeks. Can't say where, but we're going to be utilizing the new canoes to get out there. If you guys haven't seen the new limited editions, we paired up with Mossy Oak this year, and those are being shipped out currently as we speak to your dealers. So if you guys are a duck hunter or a deer hunter, or you just like camo pattern boats and deck pads and seats, get your name on one of those. I got one myself. They are sweet. But Nick, tonight, our guest, I know he's having some troubles. He'll be back in here in a second, but give you guys a little background on Nick. This year, he won the Hobie BOS event on Lake Dardanelle, had multiple great finishes in the Hobie series, made his way into the TOC. He is from Missouri. He fishes some local club stuff down there as well. So it's good stuff. We'll get him in here in a second. I know he's trying to get situated. What else we got here in the comments? Nicholas Venable hitting on the head. Technology. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Let's see if we get Nick in here. There we go, man.
That's the beauty of live, I guess, right?
Yeah. That's why we jump on early, and I know we did that in we had that one little glitch, and then it worked out, and that go figure. By the time you go live, it glitches again.
That's how it goes. It's not going to be as good video quality here. I'm on my Chromebook, but I guess we'll make do.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. I appreciate it. I was giving the good folks a little background on like your season this year, where you're from and all that good stuff. So I threw out there you're from Missouri, but I know you're from a few other places as well. So maybe you want to touch on that, and then how you got into kayak fishing, man.
Yeah, for sure. So I've had the fortunate pleasure here now to live in quite a few places, quite a few areas of the country, and getting to fish all of them. So I grew up in the Chicago area, just south of the city in a suburb of Oak Lawn. Went to high school around there, and eventually made my way to Mizzou for college. And after that, lived in Southeast Missouri, was working down there, and then moved to Southeast Louisiana, New Orleans area for a few years, and made the move back up to St. Louis here. So, like I said, I've kind of been all over a little bit, and but really got into kayak fishing, man, when I was down in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. If anybody has ever been around Southeast Missouri area, or even around the Ozarks, there's tons of Ozark streams, smallmouth fishing, clear water. And that's what kind of got me into kayaking in general was finding a way to get on that water and get after those big smallmouth.
That's cool, man. That's cool. So you're more of like a moving water guy versus a lake guy then.
Somewhat, when the rivers get a little bit bigger than that, I still like to find the kind of still backwater areas, but I kind of got my start wading and kayaking some of the Ozark rivers around Southeast Missouri. And then, was able to kind of expand on that when I was in Louisiana. That really kind of opened the door for quite a few things there. I think I was probably in the marsh just about every other weekend when I first moved down chasing redfish, and
nice.
Got into the tournament bass fishing down in Louisiana as well. And it kind of took off from there.
That's super cool, man. Super cool. So I got to ask, man, Missouri, what's your favorite body of water to fish in Missouri?
Man, so it's tough. So I'm in St. Louis. So the fishing, you got to travel a bit, when you're coming from the eastern part of the state to get to some of those good fisheries. I mean, if I had to pick one, it would be the Jacks Fork River in around Eminence, Missouri. It's one of the Ozark National River Scenic Ways, protected waters. And it is just beautiful down there. It's one of my favorite spots anywhere in the country to fish. And any chance I can, it's about a 3.5 hour drive or so. Okay. I'll get down there and camp for the weekend and have a good time.
I gotta say, man, Table Rock Lake is like one of my favorite. Like, if there's like a fishery I try to go to at least once a year, and I epically failed on that this year, that's one fishery. Like, I don't know what it is about that. Like, Southern Missouri, man, it's just the Ozarks area. Like you said, it's super beautiful, tons of water everywhere, and like, I haven't even ventured out on like some of these creeks and rivers you're talking about, but I've heard about them, and they're supposed to be just absolutely top notch.
Yeah, that's the thing is even so when I first went to when I first came to Missouri to go to school here, it really kind of opened my eyes to what was around here. Growing up, I kind of grew up fishing the Cook County Forest Reserve lakes.
Sure.
With you may be familiar.
Yeah.
They talk about pressured fisheries.
Oh yeah.
That's about as good as it gets there. So coming to Missouri, it was just kind of eye opening in general. Everything that's around here and all the Great Lakes. I mean, you have Table Rock, Truman, Lake of the Ozarks, Bull Shoals. I mean, you've got all these great fisheries, and then you can go find the smallmouth and the backwater creeks and rivers. And yeah, it's a great place to be. And if we're talking about tournament fishing, it's great, being centrally located too, to be able to travel to some of these events.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Well, I know the All-American Kayak Series now was kind of born out of the whole Moyak series, which, Joshua Booth, Richie Lockery, some of those guys, and then Tyler Cole up in Iowa, Wisconsin border, like those guys kind of put their heads together, man. So, and I know they're hitting fisheries now. I think I was just looking at their schedule the other night. They're going all the way up from Texas up to the Dakotas this year coming up, right?
Yeah, so that's definitely on my list for this upcoming season. They've really taken the All-American and ran with it, and I think positioned it well to be, sort of the top Midwest, fishing central, trail series, which is great because you have so many series that focus on the Southeast, of course, and,
Sure.
Texas and out there. But to have one, of the caliber that the All-Americans created right here in the Midwest, I'm really looking forward to that next season.
I gotta agree, man. It's interesting because I was talking with Team New Canoe member Jimmy Skinner, and we were kind of looking at schedules, making plans for next season, and it seems like looking at it, KBF is laid off the Midwest. Hobie has laid off the Midwest. I think they do have one Wisconsin event, if I'm correct. It's the Wolf River for next season. So like that All American Kayak Series, man, like that's it for that Midwest. Like that's, and I know they've had a ton of growth, which is cool to see, you know. And they're continuing to grow and expand, which is awesome. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do this year.
Yeah, even going to the 2-a-day event, or 2-day events, I think that helps elevate it as well, because we're really starting to see, it's a great time to be in kayak tournament fishing right now. I think there's more options than ever, not just on your local club level, but to fish these national events, regional events, and really win some money and kind of get your name out there. So it's an exciting time, and we're seeing a lot of these national trails go to the 2-day events, because it elevates the competition and makes it that much more interesting to watch or fish in, really.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. So we got a question in the chat. Nicholas Venable on YouTube's asking, why did you end up in Louisville? And I'm assuming he's referring to St. Louis.
Well, St. Louis now. So basically, when I've been moving, I've been moving for work. Different jobs. Like I said, it went from Southeast Missouri and Cape Girardeau down to New Orleans, and now back up to St. Louis. So been moving for jobs, but have been able to work in some fishing time around there as well. So it's been good.
Right on, right on. What do you do for work?
So I work for AAA, the Auto Club. We have a regional headquarters in St. Louis, and I do public relations for them. So,
very cool.
Been doing a lot of these Zoom calls and everything lately. So,
yeah, he said sorry. Autocorrect is helping. So he meant St. Louis, but
yeah,
cool. All right, I'm gonna hit you up for a AAA discount after this is over. But, so. You came back to St. Louis, you kind of got into kayak fishing to like venture out on some of these beautiful waters that you saw. So what in return, kind of made you get into like the tournament scene?
Yeah. So, it really started when I was down in Louisiana, and there was a new club down there, Bam Bass, and they just started up. My first tournament was the first tournament they hosted for bass fishing. So, really got into it down there. Great group of guys. I can't say enough. If anybody's in the Southeast or Central Louisiana, go check them out. They're doing great things down there. So fished a couple seasons with them, just had a blast with it. Made a lot of good friends. And so when I moved to St. Louis, basically the beginning of 2020, and was looking for opportunities around here. One of the guys that I used to fish with in Louisiana, he kind of turned me on to the Hobie BOS series, and they're in my opinion, I think the premier national tournament kayak series right now. So I met him for one tournament in 2020, and then we met up again at Dardanelle this year in April, and it was kind of it was on from there. So
right on. So let me ask you this, because I hear it all the time, and a lot of guys that are heavy into the tournament scene, they always refer to the BOS series as like the premier national tour. Like, well, in your eyes, like, why do you think that's like the cream de la creme?
Yeah, and so I'll preface this with, this was my first, I would say, full season, traveling around to different tournaments with Hobie BOS and things like that. So, I'm definitely not the say all be all, but
sure.
what I found with it, it's for a few reasons. One, it's the competition that it attracts, right? I mean, you have big names in there. I mean, that's
for sure.
No way around it. And you have them consistently. That's the thing too, is a lot of those folks will travel around. Just the quality of the tournament itself, how it's run, how the info is disseminated, how they kind of just frame it. They put a lot of effort behind, like things like the media boat and kind of getting that exposure for some of the anglers. Certainly the cash payouts, right? I mean, that's up there as well, as far as tournaments go. And then when you really look at it, when you're talking about the Tournament of Champions, for example, there's really not another kayak series right now that has as level of a playing field to qualify for the TOC than Hobie does, because the only ways to qualify is either, be top 3 in a, regular season event, or qualify by points. And
Sure.
the reason it's level is because everybody has the same opportunity to fish the same water. It's not like a state by state, championship or qualifying event. You're all fishing, you all have the same opportunity to fish the same water, same ways to qualify. And I think that's what really elevates it too, is it's more of what you're used to seeing on the pro level from from boating tournaments, brought down to the kayak level.
No, I completely agree. And, we got a lot of folks that watch that, are just getting into kayak fishing, kayaking, things like that. So I wanted to get your take on it, man. So I wasn't trying to call you out. I just want to throw that out there. But I totally agree, man. Like that TOC, like that's the champion of champions. I think the closest thing that might be out there is like the 10 that KBF does. That you got to get in there through being the top 10 in AOI points for the year before, or win the 10 Invitational or something like that. So why they call it the 10, I don't know. It should be called the 11 or 12. Like that joke's been going on for a while, but it's super cool, man. Like I'm super intrigued by what AJ's been doing over there, and seeing the level of success, and not only that, but like you said, the level of competition. It's something to be said, man. And obviously, like you said, that draws a lot of top names in there. And I mean, let's be honest, you were on the podium holding the first place check. Wasn't that the first event of the season? Right?
I believe it was the second. It was the second. And look, to your point, if I know you got some people that are trying to get into tournament fishing or interested in getting into tournament fishing, and maybe just trying to jump from the, state level, local club level to some of the national events. And look, man, that was my second Hobie event ever.
Yeah,
I fished Kentucky Lake in 2020, and then Dardanelle was my first one of 2021. And, look, I was fortunate to find an area that held up for the 2 days. And fortunate to really find it in pretty much one day of practice. So, of course, anytime you're up, whether you're just casting a check or up in the top 3, a lot of things have to go right. Anyone who kayak fishes or tournament fishes knows that. So I was fortunate in that sense, but, to be able to, kind of look back on the season now, and especially after fishing more of these events and being at the TOC, just, kind of really, really understanding and grasping just, how cool it was. I'll say, I'm still excited about it. I'm fired up. So
you should be, man. It's a huge accomplishment to get there, man. Like so many people strive to just be able to show up for that event, man. And the fact that you did it in your first like full season of giving it a go, man, that's a huge accomplishment. Nick Venables chiming in. He said, sorry for the noob question. Does New Canoe sponsor a tournament? They do sponsor a few clubs and tournaments as well. I don't know the list off the top of my head, but I will get that list for you. And next week's show, I will announce what tournaments New Canoe sponsors. But I know they do partner up with a few clubs and things like that. I know for a while there they were doing some stuff with KBF. I don't think they're doing anything with Bass, but they do work with some tournament series as well. But you mentioned it, man. So going back to Dardanelle, like you got a day of pre-fishing in, you found a spot that held fish for 2 days. Like, in your experience, like what's the biggest challenge between a 1 day and a 2 day tournament?
it's really, I think it's managing your fish, right? I mean, if you have multiple spots, that's great. But unfortunately, in that situation, fortunately or unfortunately, I didn't. So, I felt pretty good about with a couple hours left of fishing on day one, and really for no other reason than I didn't have anywhere to go on day two. I kind of started shaking some off and just kind of poking around different areas to see where I can come back to on Sunday. But when we're kind of talking about everything going right and what worked, so like I said, that was my first tournament in the Flint of the season. And man, to be able to, I car top, my kayak, I've got an Envoy, so I car top. I don't have a trailer, and that was part of the reason why I was looking at the Flint to begin with. Just one, I like the open deck layout that New Canoe offers really on all their kayaks and the customizability of it. And two, weight and size is a consideration for me, like many other people. So, but to be able, what I wound up doing actually was with Hobie, you can launch on any public access. It doesn't have to be a ramp as long as it's open to the public. So I wound up roadside launching underneath a bridge that saved me probably about 3/4 of a mile paddle from the closest ramp, and then was able to kind of beat some guys back to that area. Not that I was necessarily sharing spots with anyone during the tournament, which certainly helped, but just to be able to kind of set up and get comfortable where I wanted, a little bit earlier than everyone else, because I was able to launch closer. That was huge, and and being able to get the win.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. I know. So I personally haven't fished a Hobie event. And I'll be honest, I'm a fat guy and I like using motors. But which, for those of you guys that don't know, like the Hobie series is all human powered. So it's either got to be paddle or pedal. But like, I know when I fished KBF heavy in 2019, like, I would have a spot and, I would try to have other spots. So like that grab and go or being able to launch like closer to your spot and get there quicker, man, that's a huge deal for sure. In that Flint, man, it's super light. So grab and go all day long, man.
Yeah, it's been great, and even at some of the other tournaments during the year, been able to load up midday, usually because I was struggling at my spot, but
Sure.
Still being able to do that quickly and get it up on the car easily. That was big. I did, so Tri-State, Bob and the guys at Tri-State Trolling Motor in Wentzville, they brought me on after the Dardanelle win, and they've been great throughout the whole season. For the TOC, I was going to be down at Lake Eufaula for the whole week, being able to pre-fish and kind of check things out. So they set me up actually with a motor guide, 55-pound thrust on the front of my Flint with they made like a custom bracket so that it would fit. But
nice.
So I did get it. I did get a taste of the motor, and man, I'll tell you what, because for practice we could use the motors. I'll tell you what, it's going to be hard, going back to paddling all the time, because it is nice, but. No, I enjoy paddling. That's how I started. And really, again, when I first got into kayaking, it was to fish those super shallow, Ozark rivers. So, paddling was kind of what what you had to do. So I still enjoy it. That's kind of my roots and what I want to continue. But, being able to have some fun and during practice, use the motor, it was nice for sure.
Nice. Mike Archer on YouTube's asking, do you use the pivot drive or are you just strictly paddle?
Yeah, strictly paddle. Before even for tournaments in practice, before I got the motor a couple months ago or last month, strictly paddle. So, it's some people look at it maybe as a disadvantage, and you always get, it's interesting to me because you always get some looks maybe at the ramps the morning of the tournaments,
Sure.
when you're launching. No one specific, I never had an issue, but you kind of see that people might count you out, if you will, or not.
You can call them out, man. So. You can call them out. This is your show, bro.
No. There's really nothing to call out. But anyone who paddles at a tournament, I mean, you're kind of the odd man out for the most part. So
I totally agree. I totally agree. The first KBF tournament I ever fished, I ran into two guys that I'm now really good friends with, Alan Reed and Sam Jones, and that back then. Sam was in a bonafide and he was paddling, and dude, the day of the tournament, it was like the tournament was in Kansas and it was like 30 to 40 mile an hour, like sustained winds. and like the chop was nuts. And I just remember thinking all day, like, I hope Sam's alive. I hope Sam's alive. Like, cause he was paddling
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, there is no way. There is no way. But it does have its advantages. I mean, you look at guys like Drew Gregory, right? Like he's always paddling,
Yeah.
in these Hobie events. And, he's kind of doing stuff like you are, launching from the road, getting to those back off spots and, finding big fish.
Yeah, and that's I kind of when I first got into kayak fishing, of course, watched Drew's show and kind of saw what he was able to do, and now following him, even on the trail series. Yeah, it's all about again, it's not, to me, it's not a disadvantage. I mean, it is an advantage in some situations, right? I mean, when the fish are that shallow, or if you can find real shallow fish that no one's maybe going to think about or want to put the effort in to get back to, you have the advantage. So it's to me, it's about more of your mindset going in, what to look for, when you're looking for launches, what areas to key on. Again, example, if it's windy, again, I mean, that all comes into play. You might not be able to run to all the spots that some of the pedal drive guys can, but
Sure.
you can find your own areas to get to that they're going to maybe struggle. So that's kind of how I try to approach, each event is trying to use paddling to my advantage.
And I remember listening to the award ceremony, and I'm not gonna lie, I just went and watched it back again today, so this was fresh in my mind. But I remembered you saying like you're more of a shallow water fisherman, right? Like you were just pounding the banks, like that's kind of your juice, right? Is just shallow water and just beating the banks.
Yeah, for the most part. So yeah, I mean, even to that point, you're right. Paddling is probably what you want to do, or again, it can help you out. Yeah, definitely. I enjoy fishing shallow. Like I said, I mean, started out, walking the banks, before I got a kayak, and so
Sure.
that kind of I think molds you as far as what you're comfortable with. But yeah, for the most part, just somewhat shallow water, probably less than 10 feet is where I'm most comfortable.
Okay.
I don't run any electronics on the boat. Do find myself using the Navionics app a lot, of course, just
Okay.
for depth changes and underwater structure, things like that. But try to keep it simple. To me, that's what kayaking is about. That's kind of at its core what it is. I mean, for me, it was a way to get off the bank and of course get to the bigger fish that are just out of your cast reach when you're on the bank. But yeah.
It just goes to show, man, like I see some guys and gals that just like they got like 4 grand in electronics, another like 2 to 3 grand in like motors and batteries and all that stuff. And I think, like you said, if you keep it simple, sometimes it's a lot better. You know what I mean? Like some of those folks, like they don't end up with the the top of the leaderboard at the end of the day, and half of it is spending too much time messing around. But I love the simplicity of it, man. It keeps the sport pure. You know what I mean? That's what it was founded on, was the simplicity of it. But I love it, man. It just goes to show. I mean, obviously, you've had some great success this season, man, and running bare bones, just a kayak and some gear, and just getting out there and crushing it. And you know, it's uh, it's super cool to see. Um, Mike Archer on YouTube saying, "Wow, that's some serious endurance to paddle all day for 2 days. Hats off to you." So, is there anything in particular that you do to make it not not a crazy strain on your body
Well,
for 2 days?
I think, yeah, there's a few things, and it kind of goes back to finding the areas where you can launch from, right? I mean, like, if you can launch closer to somewhere you want to fish, that's the key. If you can launch roadside or just slide it in off the bank somewhere, that's kind of key. I think for Dardanelle, and honestly, probably for most tournaments, average, I don't know, I would say from like 10 to 15 miles between the 2 days. Just throwing a number out there, but again, you're fishing, you're not constantly paddling the whole time, so you do get a break. But yeah, it is a good workout, and that's part of I like the physical aspect of it as well. Adding just that kind of physical element and that challenge in there, that to me that just makes it more fun.
Nice, nice. Jason Willis says, switch from the Hobie team for the past couple of years to a new canoe pursuit for 2022. Welcome to the dark side, my friend. Very excited about it and looking forward to the advantage of getting into some ultra skinny water. There you go, man.
Where are we going? It sounds good to me.
Nick's ready to go. He's loading up the car. Get ready, Jason. Super cool, man. So are you going to stay in the Flint for next season? You switch into maybe a Pursuit, Unlimited, Frontier? What do you think?
So I've got to get with Tri-State, and I'm gonna go test out some of the boats on the water maybe this off season. But honestly, what I'm thinking, so like I said, I car top, so weight and size is kind of a factor for me. And while you could definitely manage, I think, any of the boats.
Sure.
What I'm kind of looking at and thinking right now is, with the motor, I think I might go with an F10 and get that registered with the motor and everything. Use that when I'm motoring, and keep the Flint for paddling, because then the Flint this year, it's so light, it's so responsive, and for the size, I mean, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. You know what I mean? I'm not.
Sure.
I don't feel like I'm cramped or don't have enough space. So but I'm gonna get on the water this off season, give some test them out and see what works.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, dude, the Flint for skinny water, like I love that boat. Like you said, it's super responsive. It's great for moving water, quick moving water, slow. I mean, I fish a small river by me, and if I'm going to that, I'm grabbing a Flint over an Unlimited or a Pursuit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've fished it in both, but if I had the choice, I'd grab the Flint over any of the other new canoe models for sure.
Yeah, I know. I know Bob's got the 2022 models in now, so we're setting up a date to go test those out.
Nice. And I'm just throwing this out there. I'm 6'4", 250s, probably being conservative. I mean, that little Flint will handle me.
Yeah, I'm about 5'10" and 185 on a good day, but I mean, I've had it on the Mississippi, upper Mississippi, on Pickwick and moving water, Eufaula, Dardanelle. I've had it around Table Rock and Bull Shoals, bigger bodies, and I've never had an issue with stability or anything like that.
Nice. So, like I said, we got a lot of new folks that are just getting into the kayak fishing world. Some are looking at 2022 schedules, maybe starting to fish their first tournament series, joining a club, things like that, man. If you had one piece of advice for somebody looking at, fishing some tournaments next season, what would it be?
Just go for it. You can find a million excuses not to go. You can find, all the excuses not to maybe try to make the jump or fish your first national event. Don't let time off from work or anything like that deter you. I mean, if you can get down there, even to get on the water for a day, practice and fish the couple days there, even if it's just one for the season, go out and try to see what it's like to fish against, the elevated competition in some of these bigger events. It's definitely got a different feel in a good way. And it's just exciting to be there. The vibe fishing these events is, so positive. And I haven't really run into anyone, that's discouraging or that, put you down because you're new to the scene. So my biggest piece of advice would be to go for it.
That's awesome. Awesome, man. Well, before we wrap this up, for every guest, I got one question for them, and I finally remembered to do it last week, and I kind of missed a couple weeks in there. But every guest, I asked them, if you had a Frontier 12 rigged up tandem, you can go out fishing for the day with anyone dead or alive, who's it going to be?
Man, I remembered from watching the past shows that this was going to come up, and I was like, I got to think of my answer, and I didn't. So this is really
shooting from the hip,
really kind of shooting from the hip. But man, I would say if it could be, any point in time or anyone, I'd probably say my grandpa. He used to take me out when we were younger. He enjoyed fishing a lot. He kind of helped me on the very basics. I'm talking, bobber and a night crawler,
sure,
get into it. But, I'd love to, maybe see him in his heyday. We go paddle around and have some fun.
There you go. I like it. Nice. Was Grandpa from Illinois as well?
Yeah. Grew up in the Chicago area, but we'd go fish the Kankakee River.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was always a good time.
Sweet. Nice, man. Well, Nick, I appreciate you coming on. It's been awesome chatting, getting caught up with you. Getting your story out there. Looking forward to seeing what you do next season, and nothing but good luck to you, brother, and get out there and crush it. Your dealer, we talked about it briefly, Tri-State, where are they located, and what's their inventory look like if somebody's in the Missouri area, they want to get set up with a new canoe, man?
Yeah, so Tri-State Trolling Motor, tristatetrollingmotor.com. They're out of Wentzville, Missouri. They do ship nationwide. I know shipping costs have gone up a little bit, so they're trying to work out some of the costs for shipping boats. But I know Bob is they've already got 2022 models in for all 5, I believe. So check them out online or look them up, give them a call. They're great to work with.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Next week we got Cody Morgan coming on. We're going to chat with him a bit, see how he unlimits himself. If you guys jumped in the show a little late, you can always go back and watch from the beginning on YouTube, Facebook. And then, as always, I upload these to all the major podcast platforms as soon as the show ends. So Apple Podcast, Spotify, you name it, they're all on there. New Canoe Unlimited, right under Joe Rogan podcast, you'll find it right there.
That's right. I'll give a quick plug too. So as I'm looking at next season and traveling a bit more, I did start up a fishing Instagram page. So if anyone wants to check out Nick C_fishing, I'll be posting some cool stuff from the road there, and I've already got plenty of content in the tank to keep it fresh for the off season. But
nice.
it would be awesome. So
you gonna start up a YouTube channel too, or?
Man, I had one for a while when I was in Louisiana. I kind of found myself worrying about the camera more than fishing sometimes. Sure. So
I know how that goes.
We'll see how the Instagram thing goes, and we'll go from there. But I'm not opposed to it. I got some great footage red fishing in the marsh down there with a GoPro, and nice. So we'll see. Not rolling it out, but not on the radar right now.
Okay, all right. Well, go give Nick a follow. Nick C_fishing on Instagram. Sweet. Awesome.
Cool.
We'll see you boys and girls next week, Tuesday night, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 5 o'clock out on the West Coast. We're here every week. Till next time, boys and girls, tight lines, smooth paddle. Peace.
See ya.